Hey everyone, good evening. Have you ever wanted to be worshipped? To have your own harem? To be called a living god while they rub oil on your chest and fan your forehead with palm leaves? Well, pharaohs had all of that. As many women as they wanted, and some they didn't, but came with the political package. As many nights as the solar calendar allowed, and just as many conspiracies as could fit in a temple. Being Pharaoh looked like the peak of pleasure, but it was just the beginning of your sentence. Tonight, we open the golden doors into the ceremonial madness that was ruling ancient Egypt, not as a servant, but as the Pharaoh himself, the man, the myth, the eternally perfumed corpse. Before you lie down in your linen bed of intrigue, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, but only if you really enjoy a good psychological spiral. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now turn off the lights, turn on a fan for that hypnotic background hum. Feel the scent of incense, sweat, and suspicion in the air. The simulation begins. You are about to be born as a god. You're not born. You are summoned. It's dawn in ancient Egypt. The Nile sleeps under the moon, and the palace is quiet, except for the whispers of priestesses. They hold turquoise stones and dried scarabs, murmuring prayers no one fully understands. Your mother, the great royal wife, is in labor. But this is no ordinary birth. This is the rebirth of Horus on earth. You slip into the world covered in blood, linen, and the scent of myrrh. You don't cry, or you cry a lot. Depends on which version ends up carved into the walls. Immediately, your umbilical cord is considered sacred. The midwives place it in a golden box. Someone paints your name on the ceiling in red ink, while priests burn incense to ward off demons, who they say always try to steal pharaoh babies. You're just a baby, but you already have a name, a throne, a role, and enemies. Somewhere, a brother or cousin, maybe 8 years old, has just realized he will never be king. Somewhere, a general has pledged loyalty to you and is already wondering how to turn you into a puppet. You are bathed in goat milk and lotus oil. The walls of your chamber are painted with scenes of your future glory, battles you'll never fight, offerings to gods others will make for you, and images of you as an adult, smashing enemies of order with a ceremonial club. You haven't even crawled yet. For weeks, you'll be kept from every mosquito, every disease, every impurity. Rumors say the gods disguise themselves as flies to test the air's security. When you sleep, there's always a harp in the background. When you wake, there's always someone waiting for your gaze like it's sunrise. You are not loved. You are worshipped. It's not the same. Meanwhile, in the rest of the palace, preparations begin. A new cycle is underway. Priests draw calendars. Astronomers rewrite the stars to match your arrival. Your birth must align with something celestial. If it doesn't, they'll force it to. And when you finally open your eyes and see the first light of the world, they all say it's a sign. You just see a painted ceiling. But to them, Egypt has been saved. Chaos has been pushed back for one more generation. You didn't ask for this, but the throne is already warm, waiting for your small body wrapped in linen and expectations. You weren't born to live. You were born to perform. You grow fast, faster than any child should. Linen wraps become robes. Your fingers, tiny once, now push ivory game pieces across a mahogany board. In the throne room, you practice your entrance. You lift your chin. You absorb the gasps. You feel the eyes, adoration, envy, dread, pressing into you like the desert sun at noon. There's a tutor, a stern man whose name means truth. He scolds you for every hesitation. Speak like the sun speaks to the horizon, he says. Command like the Nile commands the land. But you don't always obey. Sometimes your voice trembles. You hide it when your sisters giggle as you stumble over a prayer. You taste fear for the first time, and it's bitter, like dark bread dipped in sour beer. Inside the palace, shadows move. Concubines slip into your chambers. Some smile sweetly. Others uncoil like serpents, whispering promises. You indulge, because thirst isn't just for water. Yet at night, you scream in sleep. You're haunted by sand turning into blood and statues weeping tears of lotus. You hear your name echoing through empty halls, sometimes lovingly, sometimes like a curse. One morning, you find a falcon dead at your door. Its wings are open, its eyes are gone. No one speaks of it, but you know. Even gods are warned. You see your first punishment. A servant steals. In the courtyard, his hands are bound. The lash cracks. You realize power isn't just ritual, it's pain. It's sin enacted in your name. You watch executions like you once watched puppet shows. Your face must not flinch, even when they beg, even when the blood hits your sandals. Priests show you the weights, grain, gold. Your father's ledger, etched by scribes, lists every sacrifice, every ration, every forced laborer. You're learning that your people are a resource. Loyal, yes, but expendable. You are God. They are dust. You attend a ceremony by the Nile. Musicians play flutes. Women sing. Children dance. A body glides alongside your barge, the Pharaoh's. You wave. The current carries you forward. But what if it carries someone else? Your mother watches. Her eyes are calm, but deep beneath, you sense calculation. Blood bargains with blood. Daughter, son, heir. Everyone is currency. In your dreams, the Nile recedes. The land cracks open. A scorpion crawls across your chest. You feel nothing. You stay perfectly still. You are learning silence. You are learning stillness, like stone, like God. And when dawn comes, you climb onto your chariot, golden reins coiled in your fist. The desert lies before you, infinite, indifferent, and brutally honest. You, Pharaoh, will shape it, but first, you must become it. So you harden. You train your voice. You memorize every enemy's name. You begin to walk slower, heavier. You begin to understand the weight of silence and how loud it can be. By the time you're 13, war smells of dust and death. You've memorized battle hymns. You know which herbs stop bleeding and which ones make a man sleep so deeply he doesn't wake. You're not a boy. You're a weapon in silk. Your father sends you to the frontier, a border skirmish near the Libyan hills. Men bring wagons of wood, wine, and shields. You sit on a throne litter carried by dozens, feeling oddly small. The enemy? Nomads, harmless enough, bows, camels, leather. But war isn't about enemies. It's about spectacle. And you are the star. You arrive. Drums thunder. You stand. You raise your scepter. Men cheer your name in gravel voices. You taste adrenaline. You taste blood. The first prisoner is brought, naked, hands tied. He shivers, and they throw him at your feet. His eyes, raw, pleading, meet yours. You clutch your breath. You are God. He is worm. You feel his surge, electric and terrible. Your father nods. A soldier slits the prisoner's throat. Hot blood spurts. Men gasp. You close your eyes. Your heart races. This is power. This is Pharaoh. The ritual begins. They brand him with the hieroglyphs of chaos. They smear wine on his forehead, mutter incantations. They make a statue of you in paint and stone. You are victorious. You are invincible. That night, they bring gifts: feathers, ivory, bracelets made of beetle wings. The women of the camp, wives of officers, come whispering. You accept a delicate gold band. It chills your finger. You lie with one of them. She smells of fig and smoke. She kisses like a promise and leaves like a warning. The next morning, she's gone. Around the campfire, stories grow. You listen. You are not merely the heir. Tonight, you are legend. Soldiers toast to your name. You smile, a smile you practiced. But at midnight, you wake. You step outside. The desert air is cold. The moon is bright. You stare at the dunes. They're empty, endless, unforgiving. You realize this isn't control, it's illusion. Because soon, another war will come, another revolt. The sands will shift, empires rise, then erode. And you must hold them all together. With rituals, with blood, with a voice loud enough to silence every heartbeat in Egypt. The next day, you ride back to the palace, but something has changed. You're quieter now, not out of fear, but calculation. You no longer ask, you command. You no longer flinch, you watch. You no longer wonder if you are Pharaoh, you know. And so does everyone else. You return to the palace cloaked in silence and scent. The court receives you with flowers and flattery. You walk slower now, heavier, like marble that learned to move. Your voice is low, controlled. People lean in to hear it and fear it. You are Pharaoh in waiting. The old king, your father, still breathes, but his cough is louder than his voice. His advisors swarm him like flies over a dying calf. And you watch, you learn. The court is not a place. It's a storm of silk and secrets. You walk between golden pillars and hear whispers behind every veil. Cousins plotting, generals drinking too much wine and saying too little truth. Priests holding scrolls like daggers. You learn their rhythms. Who bows too slowly, who smiles too widely, who forgets to look afraid. Your sisters are pawns. So are your half-brothers. Your mother is not. She moves through the palace like smoke, impossible to hold, impossible to ignore. She smiles when she sees you, a real smile, but behind it, something sharper. One night, she visits you. No guards, no servants. She sits, pours wine, and asks, "Are you ready?" You say nothing. That is your answer. She tells you names. Who can be trusted? Who cannot? Who loves the gods too much? Who doesn't love them at all? She teaches you what your father never did, how to lie with sincerity, how to threaten with a gift, how to kill without touching. You are taught by the high priest how to read dreams, by the astronomers how to fake omens. You begin to understand that reality bends for those who speak with enough authority. that gods, like people, only exist when someone is watching. You learn how to smile as you sacrifice, how to weep on command, how to enter a room and make it colder or warmer just by standing there. And then you are summoned. Your father wants to see you, alone. He is thin now, yellowed, draped in furs though the day is hot. He gestures you close. He smells of dust and cedar. You know what this means, he rasps. You nod, but not too quickly. He gives you his ring, the one with the carved lapis eye. It's heavy, too heavy for a single finger, but you wear it. And when you do, the room changes. Walls lean toward you. People blink slower. Time stretches. You are still not Pharaoh, but now you are no longer the prince. You are the storm that follows the silence. You're 17. Your father still lives, but only technically. His body is guarded. His words are repeated by others. You speak at ceremonies. You bless the crops. You appear beside statues and make the people weep. Some call you son of Ra. Others call you Pharaoh already. None dare correct each other. The real throne is not stone. It's momentum. You feel it in council chambers. Men who once ignored you now wait for your glance. Priests who once corrected you now nod like reeds in wind. You command tribute from Nubia, settle disputes in Memphis, rewrite flood protocols in Thebes. Every word you speak is echoed in 24 scrolls by nightfall. But the palace is not calm. Your half-brother poisons a cat, the queen's favorite. The implication is clear. A cousin is caught bribing temple guards. He loses 3 fingers and is sent south. Your tutor retires after a fall down marble stairs. You never say a word, but your silence grows teeth. The people love you, or say they do. When you visit the villages, old women kiss your feet and call you beautiful. Children chant your name. You smile, you wave. You return to the palace and wash your hands until they sting. Your mother whispers one night, if you hesitate, they will tear you apart. You do not hesitate. You begin to reshape the court. You elevate those who listen. You exile those who don't. You build monuments, not for your father, but for yourself. You rewrite the prayers. Insert your name among the gods, slowly, like water carving stone. And then one morning, it happens. Your father is found in bed, cold, peaceful, or poisoned. The priests disagree. The kingdom does not mourn. You don't cry. You kneel. You rise. You are now Pharaoh, and the world will be rewritten in your image. The crown is placed on your head. Gold, lapis, falcon wings, heavy not just in weight, but in history. The people chant, the drums shake the air, but your ears are quiet. Inside, it feels like burial. They smear sacred oils on your chest. They wrap your arms in linen bands inscribed with blessings. You are both king and mummy in progress. Even in life, they begin to prepare you for death. Your first decree is not dramatic. You raise grain taxes by a fraction, enough to fund your planned monuments, enough to remind the governors who rules now. You sign it in red ink. The ink stains your nail for 3 days. Then the funerary rituals begin. Your father's body is dried, or salted, or gutted. His heart is weighed. His name is chanted until the priests are hoarse. You stand beside the sarcophagus and say the required words. You do not blink, no, you do not cry. You are stone. You watch as his organs are sealed in canopic jars, each with a god's face. You recognize them all by name. You kiss the jar with the liver and hand it to the embalmers. Everyone watches. You are their god now. Gods cannot flinch at entrails. The tomb is already built, deep beneath the cliff. It's lined with paintings of him as Osiris, him smiting enemies, him ascending into stars. You know the truth, and he died coughing, cold, alone, but the myth is what will remain. You descend into the tomb, alone, just you, a torch, and his spirit. You walk past murals of him striking down beasts, of you kneeling at his feet. Lies, maybe, but beautiful lies. The walls shimmer with gold. The air is still. Your torch spits and smokes. At the final chamber, you kneel. You speak the blessing. You place the Eye of Horus amulet on his chest. You whisper, "I will do better." He doesn't answer. When you rise and walk out, the tomb is sealed behind you forever. Back at the palace, the throne room has been rearranged. Your seat is raised higher. The guards wear new colors. Your name is carved into the pillars. You touch it. The stone is still rough. You summon the court. They bow. You speak, and the age of your reign begins. But something else begins too. That night, you dream of your father's voice. It says nothing, just breathes, and you wake with sand in your mouth. Your name echoes through marble halls. Scribes chant it with ink-stained tongues. Farmers carve it into walls with fingers cracked by sun and stone. Children murmur it in lullabies they don't understand. You are no longer just Pharaoh. You are Egypt made flesh. You begin with justice, or what they call justice. A noble steals grain from a famine storehouse. He blames rats. You summon him, you listen, you nod, you smile, and then you exile him to the southern mines. He dies within weeks. People say you are fair. People say you are terrifying. Both are true. You reshape the court. You reduce the priesthood's gold share. You replace half the viziers. You rewrite laws that no one had dared touch. Marriage contracts, burial codes, temple land rights. Your scribes work through the night. You never raise your voice. You never have to. People adjust. They always do. They pray louder, bow longer, bring more offerings. They name their sons after you. You don't sleep much. When you do, it's shallow. You dream of stone grinding against stone, of staircases that lead to doors that open to more staircases. Endless ascent. You walk the palace at night. Alone, you listen to walls. You touch columns like you're checking a body for fever. The air tastes metallic, like a storm held in its breath. A servant girl drops a vase in your presence. Everyone freezes. You walk past her. Later, she is found working in a provincial barn. Her family is grateful. She still whispers your name like a prayer. You begin to build temples with your face 10 times your size, roads that lead only to your image, obelisks pointing to your birth star. It's not vanity, it's control. Memory is architecture, and you will not be forgotten. You attend a trial in Thebes. A man accuses a priest of theft. The priest is innocent, but smug, too smug. You remove him anyway. A message, not a judgment. Whispers rise. The gods favor you. The gods fear you. The gods are you. You smile. You are the law. You are the storm behind the veil of order. And Egypt begins to change shape around your silence. You've conquered the land. Now you turn your gaze upward. The stars above Egypt have always been sacred, but under your reign they become instruments. You summon astronomers, priests, and architects. You tell them, map the divine, bring the sky to heal. They bring you charts, models, alignments. You nod. You pretend to understand. You order a temple aligned to Sirius, another to the solstice. You say it's for the gods, but it's for you. A message etched in stone, readable only by time. You rename constellations. The one once called the crocodile now bears your name. The scribes record this. The priests repeat it. The people adjust their prayers. Your nights become rituals. You climb to your private observatory. You sit in silence as the air cools and the desert winds rise. A servant pours wine. Another fans you. You dismiss them. You want to be alone with the sky. Sometimes you speak to it. You ask it questions your priests wouldn't dare write down. You ask what it remembers, what it forgets, if it watched your father die, if it will watch you too. In return, it answers with silence. Stars burn and blink. Constellations drift like thoughts too slow to reach. You build a monument to yourself as a star, a giant disk of polished obsidian set into the sand. You call it your second soul. When the sun hits it, your face shines back, but altered, longer, colder, eternal. You begin to dream of fire falling from the sky, of wings made of gold, melting, of the heavens rejecting your name. You order more temples. You commission hymns that compare your voice to thunder. You begin to wear blue paint around your eyes, like the sky. At court, people whisper that you no longer blink. They say you've touched something divine. They say you've seen your own death written among the stars. You are Pharaoh, and even the sky must learn your name. You begin to vanish, not in body, but in presence. Your people still see your image, on stone, in golds, in the prayers they whisper, but you appear less. You speak less. You've become a symbol so potent that even silence carries your will. You no longer walk through the city. Instead, you are seen in glimpses, atop a chariot, on a distant road, on a balcony above a sea of kneeling backs, in the reflection of a temple pool. You are no longer a person. You are architecture. Your court adjusts. Ministers speak of your wishes without confirmation. Scribes record your commands before you utter them. When you finally do speak, It only validates what they already feared. You spend hours alone in your private chambers. There are no mirrors, only polished obsidian shaped into shallow bowls and dark panels. When you look into them, you see your face, and behind it, nothing. You commission a new tomb, deeper, hidden, labyrinthine, a monument to secrecy. You instruct the builders to include false passages, blind doors, chambers filled with sand. You want to vanish so well, they will worship the uncertainty. You stop eating certain foods, bread, fish, garlic. You say it is for purity. The truth is, you've begun to suspect that decay starts with taste. You crave only cold things now, cucumbers, pomegranate seeds, lotus tea. Your mother visits less. When she does, she brings no wine, no laughter. She studies you as if confirming something. She says, "You've crossed the line." You don't ask which line, you know. You dream of sandstorms swallowing statues, of temples crumbling into dust mid-prayer, of your name mispronounced, forgotten, replaced. So you summon the priests. You demand that your name be carved deeper, lower, in protected walls. You send tablets to distant provinces. You invent festivals in your own honor. You are still alive, but already you are becoming a myth. And that is the plan. You are Pharaoh, and now you are the horizon, always seen, never reached. The palace grows quieter each year, or maybe you just stop listening. People still bow, still chant, still offer fruit, incense, and songs in your name. But something has shifted, not outside, inside. Inside you, there is a buzzing, like flies behind a wall, like a prayer with no God to receive it. You hear your name spoken in strange ways, by children playing, by servants gossiping, by priests during ceremonies. It sounds different now, not like praise, like punctuation, like habit, like fear wearing perfume. One night you walk through the hall of statues. Each one is you, at different ages, in different poses, victorious, generous, divine. They all have your eyes, but none feel familiar. You reach the oldest one, carved when you were 12, the nose chipped, the mouth strange. You stare at it until the torches flicker, and for a moment you wonder, did I ever look like that? Or is this what they wanted me to be? You return to your chambers. You speak your own name aloud, slowly, like tasting a fruit you haven't eaten in years. It sounds wrong. You ask a priest, "What does my name mean?" He recites the titles: Lord of Two Lands, Child of the Sun, Eternal Sovereign. He kneels. You ask again, "What does it mean?" He doesn't know. You dismiss him, not in anger, in mercy. The next night, you dream of someone else wearing your crown. They are younger, smiling. The people chant the same name, your name, but it belongs to them now. You wake up sweating. You call your scribe. You order a new name, a secret one, to be carved nowhere, spoken only in ritual, known only to you, a name that cannot be stolen. You whisper it once into a flame, and the flame bends. This is who you are now, not the child who cried in gold, not the warrior who smiled through blood, not the ruler who silenced storms. You are the silence after your name is spoken. You are Pharaoh, and you are beginning to disappear. Your architects no longer ask questions. They simply wait for your gestures. You order something vast, larger than Karnak, holier than Luxor, a temple made not for gods, but for you, your breath, your face, your forgotten name. It begins with foundations carved into bedrock, granite from quarries where men age before 30, obelisks the height of dreams, columns shaped like your fingers, walls thick enough to outlast flood, fire, time. Every chamber has a function, one to echo your voice, one to preserve your scent, one where a single beam of light touches your statue on the solstice, and deep beneath it all, the sanctum. Only you may enter, only once. The door will be sealed behind you. You do not tell them what you plan to leave inside. Construction takes years, decades, generations. Children are born beneath your scaffolding. Workers sing your praises while breaking under your stones. You visit rarely, but when you do, silence follows you like a veil. You order mirrors installed in impossible angles so that even in darkness your face can be seen. You select the statues personally, not heroic, not young, not smiling. You want them truthful, or at least afraid. You want them to remember what ruled them. One night, you walk the unfinished halls alone. No guards, no torches, just the sound of wind pushing through stone bones. You pause in the central chamber. Your statue looms above. It is cracked, its eyes unfinished. You climb it. You place your hand inside its chest cavity. There is space there, waiting. You whisper your secret name again. The stone is cold. You descend before dawn. You tell the builders to delay the dedication indefinitely. They nod. They do not ask why. Later, one of them vanishes. Some say he saw something. Others say he spoke your name in a dream. You say nothing. You are Pharaoh. You are the temple, and one day you will enter yourself and never come out. The mirrors stop working. One morning, you pass the bronze plate in your anointing chamber. You pause, as always, expecting to meet your gaze. But the surface is dull, warped. It returns no image. You summon the artisans. They polish, replace, burnish. You stand again. Nothing. A blur, a shimmer, a shadow with your posture. Servants say nothing. They keep their eyes low, but you see it in their hands. They tremble when they bring your robes. You begin to test it. Water bowls, black glass, moonlit pools. Still the same. A hesitation in the reflection, like the world no longer recognizes you. You call for the high priest. He asks cautiously if your essence is shifting, becoming too divine to anchor in the mortal plane. You reward him with gold for the phrasing, but in private you worry. You recall your first portrait, painted on linen, sealed in resin. You order it brought. You stare into it. The boy looks back, unsure, soft-eyed, lips parted like he's about to ask something. You don't know what. You order it burned. From then on, you avoid reflective surfaces. You close your private pools. You remove polished stone from your halls. The mirrors in the temple are turned to the wall. You issue a decree. No likeness of you shall be created without permission. All older statues are to be reviewed, altered, or destroyed. Sculptors begin to sculpt nothing but angles, hard lines, eyes that never meet yours. The people adapt. They pray to your silhouette. They chant to your absence. In festivals, they carry blank masks. One night, a servant forgets. He brings a bowl with water too still. You see your face, but it isn't yours. It smiles, slowly, as if remembering you. You drop the bowl. The servant vanishes by morning. You say nothing. You are Pharaoh, and even your reflection has learned to obey. You used to rise with it. Your childhood began with golden mornings, priests chanting at dawn, the scent of baked barley and warm stones. You once watched sunbeams slip across temple walls as if the gods themselves were stretching. Now you rise at dusk. Your chambers are dim, your corridors shaded, the outer courts flood with light, but you remain in the inner sanctum. Even your skin has changed, paler, cooler, less of earth and more of limestone. You say it is ritual, that the gods speak clearer at night, that your mind is clearer in silence. But the truth? The sun no longer feels like yours. You begin to host court at twilight. Ministers gather by torchlight. Their faces flicker, half-truths lit by flame. You wear indigo robes. You speak in riddles. You smile less. The people adjust. They build your statues with crescent crowns. They sing hymns at moonrise. Children are told not to look directly at your palace during midday. You commission a temple that only opens at night. Its doors grind open with the stars. Its halls are lined with glowing stones, pulled from a desert mine where no birds sing. The temple has no roof. It's for the stars, you say. The stars are truer than the day. You stop attending solar festivals. The priests invent reasons: divine retreat, cosmic cycle, health. You don't correct them. You sleep more, but your dreams are not rest. They're echoes. You walk through tunnels beneath the earth. You see jackals watching. You hear your name in reversed syllables. You wake gasping. You call no one. You lower your hand. You turn away. You are Pharaoh. You once ruled the light, but now your empire is made of shadow. No one says your name aloud anymore. It's not forbidden, not officially, but something colder has replaced law, reverence carved into dread. Ministers speak of you with gestures. Guards lower their heads when you pass. Children are told to whisper wishes into the wind rather than pray directly to you. You notice the silence. You welcome it. Your court becomes a theater of shadows. Decisions are passed down by intermediaries. Questions are answered before they're asked. Servants bring offerings without being summoned. You no longer need to speak. You raise a hand, and a noble is banished. You tilt your head, and 3 provinces adjust their grain tithes. You sigh, and a scribe vanishes from the record. Fear has become more powerful than love, more precise than policy. You sit in your throne room for hours without moving. It becomes a ritual. Ministers file in, report their obedience, and leave. You do not nod. You do not blink. They interpret your stillness like stars, mysterious, sacred, dangerous. One evening, a court musician plays a wrong note. The sound echoes like thunder. You do nothing. The next day, his hands are wrapped in linen, trembling. Your mother stops attending court. She sends letters instead, laconic, respectful, distant. She calls you light of the veil. You know she's afraid. You begin to dream less, or rather, your dreams become so quiet they feel like memories. You recall a moment. A small boy on the palace steps, holding a lotus flower, asking what the stars are made of. No one answered. You now know the answer. Stars are made of distance, of silence multiplied by time, and so are you. You are Pharaoh, and you are now more idea than man. The day begins without you noticing. The sky brightens. Servants adjust drapes. Incense is lit. But you remain in your stone chamber, where time dissolves against polished silence. You sit before your dressing basin. Once it held water. Now it holds nothing, not even your reflection. You ask your attendant, "What do I look like?" He stammers. He describes gold, dignity, radiance, nothing human. You wave him away. You walk through your halls. Your statues watch you. Hundreds, maybe thousands now. None match. One shows you smiling. One shows you grim. One, disturbingly, is faceless. You call a sculptor. You ask him to make a new statue. "You must see me," you say. He hesitates. "I see, your majesty." "No," you say. "See me." He tries. He carves for weeks. The result? A face that could be anyone. Eyes too wide, mouth too tight. It doesn't breathe. You destroy it. You stop looking into still water. You avoid shadows. You begin wearing veils, not for mystery, but to forget what's beneath. Your dreams begin to shift again. You walk through empty palaces. People bow to you, but you are translucent. A breeze moves through you. One night, you hear voices behind a column. 2 scribes arguing over how to draw your jawline. One says angular, the other soft. You smile. You leave them alone. Let them guess. You write your name in the sand, then erase it with your foot. You begin to believe that faces are like footprints in wind, temporary, decorative, forgettable. But names sink deeper. You begin signing only with your secret name now. Even your officials do not know what it is. You whisper it into clay tablets and seal them with wax. No one will read them, not yet. You are Pharaoh, and your face no longer matters. only your shadow remains. You used to walk among gardens, now you avoid them. The smell of flowers is too sharp, the sound of birds too erratic. Life has become a foreign dialect, beautiful but incomprehensible. Your food is tasteless, you chew slowly, you no longer crave. You eat because your body requires it, though even that feels optional. You ask your attendants to sweep the palace more often. You say it's about ritual. In truth, the dust is following you. You see it in corners before you arrive, a fine layer clinging to banisters, cushions, your throne. One morning, you find it in your hair. You comb it out, but it returns. A priest says it's a sign of transition, that the earth prepares to welcome what once stood above it. You do not respond. Your skin changes, thinner, tighter, like parchment. You ask your scribes what your ancestors felt near their ends. They say nothing. Their scrolls speak only of glory. You commission a chamber sealed from wind, water, and breath. You sit there sometimes, just to feel stillness press against your bones. You start coughing, at first softly, then with depth. Servants bring herbs. You wave them away. The coughing becomes rhythm, then language, then prophecy. You order your coffin to be inspected, not out of fear, out of familiarity. The gold is pure, the linen tight woven, the inscriptions correct. You add one line, he ruled the silence. You visit your own tomb. The steps feel longer, the air thicker. You move slowly now. Your guards follow at a distance, unsure whether to help. You reach the final chamber. Your likeness is everywhere, your name in every crevice, but none of it feels like you. You touch the stone. It crumbles slightly. You smile. You are Pharaoh, and your body has begun to return to dust, long before death comes to claim it. They ask you quietly, who will follow? You say nothing. There were children once, sons trained by generals, daughters taught by priestesses. They had names, voices, hopes. You don't remember them now, or perhaps you choose not to. One died young, illness or omen. Another disappeared into the southern wind. A third you exiled for asking too many questions. Now only whispers remain. Courtiers speculate. Nobles position themselves. Priests light incense for unnamed futures. You watch. One boy claims royal blood. He smiles like you once did. He speaks well, too well. You deny him audience. A girl from the northern provinces writes hymns in your honor. They move you. You allow her poems to be sung at your festival, but you never call her name. You begin to erase the succession line from records, not with ink, with absence. Scrolls are edited. Statues lack inscriptions. Temples remain open-ended. When asked again, you say, the Nile needs no air. It simply continues. But the Nile is not a crown. You walk through the royal nursery one night. It is empty, dusty. the toys untouched, the walls still painted with sun gods and lotus flowers. You sit on a small stool and listen to the silence. You remember being held. You do not remember by whom. You begin to write messages to the gods, not prayers, questions. You leave them under stones, in sealed jars behind panels in your tomb. You never receive answers. You dream of the throne without a body, of voices chanting to no one, of a palace collapsing from the center outward. You wake and feel a strange comfort. Let them wonder. Let them argue. Let the next Pharaoh emerge from chaos if they dare. You are Pharaoh, and your legacy will be a riddle carved in stone, with the final word missing. The sun still rises. The city still functions. Grain is counted. Boats cross the Nile. But your name is now spoken in the past tense. They say, he once decreed. He once commanded. He once watched. You still live. But history has begun its work. Your image appears in court scrolls, already stylized, a bit taller, more angular. The artists call it divine proportion. You call it fiction. One morning, you hear laughter in the outer halls. A child, perhaps. A servant's daughter. The sound startles you. It feels invasive, like birdsong inside a tomb. You walk through your statue garden. The likenesses are cracked. Ivy creeps along your jawline. Birds nest in your stone crown. You consider ordering restorations. You don't. Let them erode. You summon your astrologers. Ask what the stars say. They speak of cycles, of omens that repeat, of constellations shaped like serpents biting their tails. You already know. You study your old decrees. Some feel foreign, others prophetic. A few are missing. You ask your scribes. They stammer. They blame floods, insects, wind. You begin to write your own version of history. Quietly, secretly. You start with a phrase. I was not what they said I was. You write of hunger, silence, sweat behind the crown, of nights you thought would be your last, of moments no one saw, a moth landing on your hand, the smell of rain on limestone, the taste of salt when you wept alone. You seal the pages in clay. You bury them in the floor. You leave no signature. One day a priest calls you ancestor. He says it with reverence, but you hear the distance in his voice. You are Pharaoh, and now you are a shadow cast by your own legacy. It begins without announcement. A coldness in your limbs, a pressure in your chest, dreams that blur with waking. You call for your embalmer. He arrives pale, trembling. You do not speak. You simply lift your arm. He nods. The preparation begins. You select the linen yourself, the oils, the tools. You design your own death. You order the tomb cleansed again, not with water, but with silence. For 3 days, no one may speak inside it. You dismiss your court, one by one. Some weep, some kneel, some are already rehearsing their loyalty to whoever comes next. You do not mind. You sit with your coffin. You run your hands along the carvings. You whisper your secret name into the wood. Then, as tradition commands, you never speak it again. Your meals shrink. Your steps shorten. Your robes grow heavier. One night, you sit beneath a full moon, alone. You watch a jackal move along the palace wall. It pauses. It sees you. You bow your head. It does not run. You write a final decree. Let no god claim me. Let no man name me. Let time forget my voice and remember only my silence. You sign it with no name. Your final days are soft. A servant reads you poems. A priest sings the hymns of dusk. You stop answering. Your body thins. Your skin grows cold. You no longer need mirrors or torches or gold. You need only stone. You are Pharaoh, and your body waits to become still enough for eternity. The day arrives without ceremony. The sun rises. The priests gather. The linen is prepared. But no trumpet sounds. No flame leaps skyward. Just the rhythm of sandals on limestone. You are carried. Your body, light as myth, is held by hands trained never to tremble. The procession winds through the necropolis. Behind you, chants. Before you, silence. You feel nothing, but you notice everything. The sky is pale. The wind is warm. The people do not weep. They bow. Inside the tomb, the air is thick with myrrh. Your likeness lines every wall, but you look different in each one. Some images show you weeping, some laughing. One shows you as a hawk mid-flight. They lower you into the sarcophagus. It is tight, familiar. The stone breathes around you. The priest reads your titles, then pauses, then says nothing. The silence is your final name. Seals are placed, torches withdrawn. One by one, the stone chambers are closed. Dust settles like soft applause. Above, the sun continues. The Nile continues. The empire continues. But you do not. You are Pharaoh, and now you are stone. Not metaphor, not symbol, stone. It doesn't take long. The first errors appear in the scrolls. Your coronation year is off by 2 seasons. A battle you never fought is added. A law you never passed becomes the foundation of a new festival. You are Pharaoh, and already they are editing you. A statue is unveiled in your honor. It's massive, gleaming, wrong. The nose is too long, the eyes too soft. The inscription says you ruled for 60 years. You ruled for 49. The priest who blesses it calls you peacemaker. You started 7 wars. You are recited in poems. They rhyme. You never liked rhyme. A school is built bearing your name. The children do not know what you believed. They know the hymns. They know the mask. They do not know the face beneath. The court artists begin painting you in new ways. They give you colors you never wore, symbols you never approved. They call it reverence. You know it is reinvention. Your tomb becomes a pilgrimage site. Visitors leave offerings. Some whisper your name. Some chant the names of other gods. A few argue if you even existed. You did, but perhaps not like this. You begin to fade in your own records. Other names grow louder. Your children, your rivals, your imitators. You become a backdrop, a reference, a myth. But in the sealed chamber beneath your statue, clay tablets still wait, buried beneath your secret name, unopened, unread. You are Pharaoh, and now you are the story no one tells correctly. Centuries pass. Your tomb remains sealed, but your name resurfaces, not in scripture, not in history, but in celebration. A spring festival is held each year. Your effigy is paraded through the streets, dressed in linen dyed with crushed beetles. Children wear paper masks shaped like your crown. Bakers mold your face in bread. Dancers twirl with golden scarves meant to mimic desert winds. Drums echo in rhythms no longer sacred. They say it honors rebirth. They say you represent the cycle. You were never fond of spring. You preferred the hush of late autumn, the long shadows, the smell of stone cooling after sunset. Spring was too loud, too quick, too green. Priests retell a version of your story. You were born beneath a comet. You commanded the desert to bloom. You vanished into the stars. You married the moon. You spoke to crocodiles. None of it is true, but all of it is believed. A woman sings a song in your name. The chorus repeats. He walked between suns. He swallowed the dusk. He laughed at time. You never laughed at time. You counted it. You feared it. You tried to bend it, and you failed. Your statues are now touched for luck. Brides place flowers at your feet. Merchants hang your image for profit. They argue about your favorite color. Your secret name is sold as an amulet. Children wear it without knowing what it meant, or that it was never meant to be spoken. Tourists walk your roads. They guess at meanings. They take photographs. They post images of your temples with captions like mystical and vibes. You become an aesthetic, a background, a myth filtered through filters. A woman paints your likeness on ceramic mugs. A man writes erotica with your name. A cartoon depicts you with sunglasses. You are Pharaoh, and also a sticker. One poet writes, "He ruled not through fear, but through flame." You ruled through silence, through a look, through a breath held too long, through the absence of indulgence. But silence doesn't sell. A historian digs near your temple. He finds nothing. He declares you mythical. No records confirm him, he says, likely invented by later dynasties. You were not. But myth is louder than truth and easier to sing. Your name becomes a brand, a tattoo, a ringtone, a candle scent, a trivia question, a background on a phone. You are Pharaoh, and now you are a costume danced in moonlight, a parade that forgets its source, A god with no altar, only merch, only noise. The sands shift, the winds change, the empire fractures, kingdoms rise and fall like breath, names vanish, borders blur, languages melt into each other, but you remain, beneath stone, beneath silence. One summer, the desert burns, not with sunlight, but with torches and swords. A foreign army storms the old cities. They loot temples, smash faces, melt gold, rewrite prayers. Your temple is found. They enter, they take, they destroy. But they do not find you. Your tomb holds. Your name, in its final and truest form, stays buried beneath false floors. The curse wasn't magic. It was design. A puzzle built from centuries of misdirection. Every false corridor a hymn to your paranoia. Every hidden trap a tribute to your obsession with disappearance. They leave, years pass, then more. Winds pile sand over the temple, columns collapse, statues shatter. The entrance vanishes beneath dunes. A goat herder builds a fire nearby. A child picks at the stone with a stick. The past hums beneath their feet, quiet, full, asleep. And still, you do not move. You sleep. No dreams now. No memories. No sound. Your body is whole, wrapped, sealed. The oils still cling to your skin. The amulet still guards your chest. The symbols on the coffin still whisper in the language of gods. A crack forms in the ceiling. A single drop of water falls once a year. Time becomes a liquid. Memory becomes mineral. Outside, empires rise and collapse. Your name is invoked during battles, forgotten again, discovered in fragments, mistranslated. A face chiseled into coins, then defaced, then lost. Centuries melt. No voice calls you back. No gods intervene. You are not waiting. You are not hoping. You are Pharaoh. And while the world above forgets itself over and over, you wait below, untouched, not for return, not for resurrection, just for stillness to be complete, for your silence to finally outweigh every word ever spoken. A sound wakes you, not a voice, not a hymn, not the breath of a god, a vibration, a hum, metal against stone. Above, the earth groans. Boots crunch sand. Laughter echoes off cliff walls. Bright lights pierce the tomb's upper tunnels. Not torches, not sun. Something colder, whiter. They call themselves archaeologists. They dig with care. Gloves, brushes, notes. But they are no different from the armies. They too take. They find your statue first, the one with the missing eyes, then the sealed jars, then the false passageways. They marvel, they photograph, they misread. One of them says, "This might be him." They do not say your name. They lower cameras into the tomb's throat. They whisper reverently. They joke. They argue about funding. Then they find the door. It takes days to open. They scan. They analyze, they debate, and finally, with a hiss like old breath, the seal breaks. You are revealed, your body pristine, your amulet intact, your face still painted beneath the linen. They gasp, they kneel, they record. You are Pharaoh. And now, for the first time in millennia, you are seen again, but not understood. They assign you a number. They label the chamber. They photograph the amulet from 7 angles. One of them says, "He must have been important." Another replies, "Or just well hidden." Your coffin is moved, your jars cataloged, your silence broken by paperwork. You are not angry, you are not grateful, you are not anything. You are Pharaoh, and you have been unburied by accident, not reverence. They place you in a museum. You do not know the word, but you know the feeling. Walls without breath, lights that never flicker, people walking slowly, whispering, pointing. Your coffin rests behind a pane of glass, temperature controlled, monitored, insulated. Children press their faces to the case. Elders nod solemnly. Scholars take notes, and tourists smile for photos, unaware their flashes bounce off 4,000 years of silence. You are tagged with a plaque, unidentified Pharaoh, approximately 18th dynasty, possibly ceremonial. You are not unnamed. You are not approximate. You are not ceremonial. But no one corrects them. Your amulet is removed, studied, replicated, sold in the gift shop downstairs. Your face is printed on postcards. Your likeness appears on t-shirts. A boy in line calls you creepy. A guard tells people not to tap the glass. They tap anyway. Some look into your painted eyes and feel nothing. Some feel chills. A few cry. They don't know why. You watch all of this. You do not move. You do not speak. But you are seen. A woman stands before you one day. She reads your plaque. She shakes her head. She leans in close and whispers, "I remember you." And then she is gone. You are Pharaoh. And now you are not dust, not gold, not forgotten. You are glass, and the world sees its own reflection in you. One day, a linguist pauses before your case. He is young, careful, too quiet for his own century. He sees the small clay tablet tucked beside your body, the one you buried with your secret name, the one no one else has touched. He requests permission to study it. The museum director shrugs. It's decorative, but it is not. The linguist takes rubbings, scans, digital tracings. He works for months, then years. He cross-references symbols no one has spoken in millennia. He uncovers verbs lost to conquest, adjectives buried under empire. And one night in a paper-strewn apartment, lit by a single flickering lamp, he reads your true voice aloud. He stumbles over the first lines, then finds rhythm, then finds you. You say, I was silence, I was breath, I was weight without shape. I did not rule, I was ruled by time. Do not worship me, remember me? The linguist stops. He exhales. He whispers, you were real. You are Pharaoh, and your voice has passed into another mouth. He publishes a paper. It circulates slowly. It is debated or dismissed, then reconsidered. Years pass. Professors reframe history. Artists quote your lines. A playwright adapts your words. Your voice begins to echo again. Not loudly, not everywhere, but truly. Children recite your name in classrooms. Some mispronounce it. Some whisper it like a prayer. You are Pharaoh. And now you are translated, not by scholars alone, but by anyone who has ever felt the weight of being seen, but not known. It begins with pixels. A digital artist, fascinated by ancient faces, renders you in color. Your eyes blink. Your mouth moves. Software fills in what time erased. They model your voice using AI. They program your movements from hieroglyphs. You wave, nod, speak your ancient tongue reconstructed by algorithms. You go viral, you are Pharaoh, and you have become content. 1 million views, subtitles in 10 languages, comments flooding in, he's kinda hot. This gives me chills. Did he really talk like that? Number. But now you do. You appear in educational shorts, then memes, then a cameo in a historical fantasy show. A game developer uses your likeness as a final boss. You are overpowered, immortal, a god with glowing eyes. You are defeated by a teenager with a plasma sword. You are reviewed, rated, reimagined. Someone makes a filter in your name. Users apply your crown to their selfies. They smile with your makeup. They wink. You are Pharaoh, and you are animated now. A face that speaks without breath. A story detached from bone, a myth wrapped in code. But still, somewhere beneath the noise, your truth endures. In the silence between frames, a new age arrives, not with chariots, not with war, but with efficiency. The museum closes, budgets shrink, priorities shift. They pack your artifacts into crates, label them with numbers, stack them in climate-controlled silence. A curator recommends repatriation, another suggests digitization. A third shrugs. There are more pressing exhibits. Your sarcophagus is moved to a basement, then to a vault, then forgotten. No one taps the glass anymore. No one reads the plaque. The woman who once whispered, I remember you, has grown old. She visits once more. Your case is gone. She stands there anyway. Whispers again, even softer. Somewhere, a storm floods the Nile. Somewhere, a bookshop sells a forgotten text with your face on the cover. Somewhere, a child draws your eye without knowing why. But in the museum records, your entry is marked, not on display. Your bones are labeled, your amulet reclassified, your name refiled. The space where you once rested is used to store boxes, invoices, cleaning supplies, a rolled up banner from an old exhibition. The glass that once held you is broken and recycled. It becomes part of a window in an office building. Someone leans against it during a meeting and stares out at traffic. Your image survives only in an outdated database, accessible by password, visited twice a year by interns. You are Pharaoh, and now you are dismantled, not by destruction, but by disinterest. But even disinterest leaves traces. Even silence has shape. Even the forgotten have fingerprints pressed into the clay of time. And even now, somewhere, someone might still be listening. Someone might still remember the shape of your name, the stillness in your eyes, the pressure in the air before your voice was ever spoken, the shadow under the data, in the faint, stubborn hum of memory that refuses to die. A new age arrives, not with chariots, not with war, but with efficiency. The museum closes, budgets shrink, priorities shift. They pack your artifacts into crates, label them with numbers, stack them in climate-controlled silence. A curator recommends repatriation. Another suggests digitization. A third shrugs. There are more pressing exhibits. Your sarcophagus is moved to a basement, then to a vault, then forgotten. No one taps the glass anymore. No one reads the plaque. The woman who once whispered, "I remember you," has grown old. She visits once more. Your case is gone. She stands there anyway. Whispers again, even softer. Somewhere, a storm floods the Nile. Somewhere, a bookshop sells a forgotten text with your face on the cover. Somewhere, a child draws your eye without knowing why. But in the museum records, your entry is marked, not on display. Your bones are labeled, your amulet reclassified, your name refiled. The space where you once rested is used to store boxes, invoices, cleaning supplies, a rolled up banner from an old exhibition. The glass that once held you is broken and recycled. It becomes part of a window in an office building. Someone leans against it during a meeting and stares out at traffic. Your image survives only in an outdated database, accessible by password, visited twice a year by interns. You are Pharaoh, and now you are dismantled, not by destruction, but by disinterest. But even disinterest leaves traces. Even silence has shape. Even the forgotten have fingerprints pressed into the clay of time. And even now, somewhere, someone might still be listening. Someone might still remember the shape of your name, the stillness in your eyes, the pressure in the air before your voice was ever spoken. It begins, as it always does, with curiosity. A graduate student, tired of screens and theory, requests access to the museum's off-site storage. She is cataloging for a digitization project, an initiative no one expects to finish, just a box to check on a grant application. She walks between shelves of boxed bones, unlabeled jars, collapsed sarcophagi. Dust rests undisturbed like a patient animal. The air is dry and humming. The lights flicker with the rhythm of ancient breath. The silence feels ceremonial. She opens one crate. She pauses. A face stares up. Yours. Faded gold. Cracked paint. But still you. Your crown chipped. Your features weathered. Your name tagged incorrectly. The inventory reads, Unknown Pharaoh, fragmentary. She frowns. She photographs. She scans. She rereads. She questions. And then she dreams. She sees sand moving backward, a mask reassembling, a voice speaking not in words, but in silence thick enough to hold. She doesn't know why, but she cannot let you go. Night after night, she returns. She catalogs but lingers, cross-references but listens. The other interns joke. The archivists roll their eyes. But she keeps going. She finds your secret name in a footnote from a misfiled excavation. She finds your voice recorded in a linguist's forgotten thesis. She finds you hiding in plain sight, between errors, beneath dismissals. She writes an article. It is ignored. She writes another. It is mocked. She gives a lecture to an empty hall. Still, she dreams of narrow halls, of oil lamps burning blue, of your hand brushing across stone, writing nothing, remembering everything. One day, a reply, another scholar, this one older. He has seen your statue in a broken monastery wall. Then a third, then a team. They meet in quiet rooms. They argue over symbols. They decode your decrees like puzzles left behind in grief. You are discussed again. Your records recompiled, your statue restored. The museum reopens a wing. They title it, The Pharaoh Who Was Erased. But it is more than a title. It is a reckoning. Visitors walk in slowly. The lighting is low. Your mask is displayed without glass. A voice, hers, reads your writings softly in the background. You are not presented as power, but as question. Not as glory, but as loss. Not as certainty, but as echo. People leave notes beside your display. Some just draw spirals. Some write, I see you. Some don't write anything. They just sit. You become a site of reflection. Students cry beside your coffin. A boy closes his eyes and says your name like he's known it forever. You are Pharaoh. And now you are found again, not as an artifact, but as a mystery that refused to vanish. Not because you survived, but because someone refused to stop listening. They begin to write about you, this time carefully. No longer the silent tyrant, but something stranger, something human. They translate your letters, they analyze your dreams, they study the asymmetry in your statues and decide it was intentional, a philosophy carved into cheekbones. They read the clay tablets you buried, the ones with no titles, the ones written not for priests or courts, but for yourself. They hear your hesitation, your doubt, your fear of being forgotten, and your deeper fear of being misunderstood. A historian calls you the Pharaoh of pause. Another calls you the one who wrote silence. Students quote your reflections in essays. Artists paint you not as a ruler, but as a presence in a doorway, arriving or leaving, they're not sure. A playwright reenacts your last days in a single room with no dialogue. The audience weeps. You are taught now, but gently, not as myth, not as warning, but as a question that never settled. Your name is spoken again, but not with certainty, with wonder. One professor rewrites a textbook. Another records a podcast. An actor plays you with trembling hands. You appear in footnotes and bibliographies, but also in poems, in lullabies, in small rituals before sleep. Your story is told in pieces. One version ends in disappearance. Another ends in defiance. A third refuses to end at all. You become a symbol, not of power, but of the quiet shape grief leaves behind. Your tomb is never fully reopened. A decision is made to preserve it as is, untouched. Because sometimes the story is strongest where it stops. Children write you letters they never send. They imagine what you might have said back. They draw pictures of you in robes made of wind. You are Pharaoh. And now you are rewritten, not in gold, not in marble, but in thought. Not as the one who ruled everything, but as the one who vanished deliberately and was still found, as the one who tried to become Silence Dash, and in doing so was heard. Time moves differently now, not in centuries, but in servers. Your story is no longer housed in stone or scrolls. It is scattered in academic articles, archived live streams, hashtags. You are referenced in tweets, misquoted in documentaries, used in essays about erasure. Your face becomes an icon on meditation apps. Your name a sound in digital chants. None of these people know you, and yet they carry pieces of you. A teacher assigns your writings to students who read you on cracked phones. A sculptor models you in virtual reality. A singer samples your translated words into ambient songs played in elevators. Your history becomes part of memory architecture coded into data centers, passed between satellites. You are nowhere. You are everywhere. A child in Sao Paulo dreams of your funeral procession. A woman in Seoul wears your eye on a pendant. A protester in Lagos paints your face on a banner that says, "He was erased. We are not." You are no longer only Pharaoh. You are metaphor. You are proof. You are a shard of persistence in a collapsing present. The algorithms struggle to contain you, to tag you, to flatten you, but you slip through. In code, in folklore, in silence, you are Pharaoh. And now you are carried in fragments, scattered and incorruptible. You are what refuses to stay buried. Centuries pass. Again, technology shifts, civilizations cycle, cities rise and rot and rise again. And in one of them, unnamed, wind-worn, sun-carved, a group of builders chooses to carve a monument, not for a king, not for a war, but for absence. They study your writings, your voice, your myths. They argue about your meaning. They cannot agree, so they carve anyway. Stone pulled from old mountains, polished, inscribed, not with your likeness, but with the words you once buried for no one to read. I ruled nothing. I remembered everything. Children sit on the steps of this monument. They eat fruit. They rest. They ask, who was he? No one answers fully. Some say a god. Some say a writer. Some say simply someone who was almost lost. The monument becomes a place of stillness. People speak more quietly around it. A woman kisses it once a year and leaves. A man reads it every morning before work. Pilgrims do not come, but wanderers do. You are Pharaoh, and now you are echoed in stone again, not by decree, but by remembrance, not to command, but to exist. Your second monument does not seek glory. It seeks weight. It holds space. It happens slowly, like all true forgetting. The monument stays. The stone weathers. The inscription fades, not from vandalism, but from wind, from time, from rain that wants nothing but to fall. The city around it becomes something else. People move, rivers change course, languages shift, a new market is built 2 streets away, then a stadium, then a skyline that blocks the sun. No one demolishes the monument. They simply build around it, until one day no one walks by it, not out of malice, just redirection. It becomes a bench for pigeons, a shade for delivery workers, a stop on a walking tour labeled Unidentified Ancient Site. Children sit on its edge but don't ask who you were, not anymore. You are Pharaoh, and now you are forgotten once more. Not erased, not buried, just passed by. Your name is still legible, but unread. Your story archived, but unopened. Your silence present, but unnoticed. A new religion rises, then falls. Another replaces it. You are not part of the myth. Not anymore. An artist sketches you from memory, but doesn't know it's you. A child dreams of eyes and gold and wakes confused. A storm destroys a library that held your last accurate record. You are not mourned. You are not defended. You are not disrespected either. You simply fade, like all things. But this fading is gentle, almost kind. You are not hunted. You are not mocked. You are not made into noise. You are simply forgotten. And in that forgetting, pure, soft, without fire, there is peace. You are Pharaoh. And you are finally just quiet. The earth shifts. Tectonic plates sigh. Cities crumble. Libraries burn. Empires flicker. And beneath it all, you remain. One day, a quake opens the ground near a dry riverbed. A shepherd sees glinting stone. He calls others. Archaeologists arrive, or what passes for them now. They use tools you wouldn't recognize. They wear suits that filter breath. They speak a language spun from dozens. They descend into the earth. They find walls etched with images too faded to interpret. They find a passage that curves like a question mark. And they find you. You, not the monument, not the replicas, not the recordings. You. Your tomb still holds. Your body is intact. The air inside has not moved in thousands of years. They open the chamber, not reverently, not violently, just with awe. They shine their artificial lights across your coffin. They scan every inch. They whisper. They forget to breathe. They find the amulet on your chest. They find the symbols carved inside the lid. They realize this is not a tomb like the others. This was not built to be found. A scholar leans in close. She reads the script aloud. I buried myself to remember. They take nothing. They reseal the tomb. They leave a marker. They record coordinates. And then they walk away. Your chamber is closed again, not out of fear, but respect. You are Pharaoh, and now you are unearthed again. But this time, no one tries to own you. This time, they understand. Some things were never meant to be displayed. Some stories are stronger in silence. Some names grow louder the less they're spoken. And so you rest, not in obscurity, but in chosen quiet. A silence earned, a silence understood. In a school library, far from your desert, a child reads your name aloud. She doesn't know how to pronounce it. She tries 3 ways. She picks the one that feels like breath. She writes it down, draws a sun above it, circles it in red ink. Later, she teaches her little brother how to say it. They chant it like a rhyme. They invent a game where you are the secret king of an invisible kingdom beneath their apartment floor. You are Pharaoh, and now You are spoken softly, not as command, not as prayer, but as intimacy. You are passed from mouth to mouth in quiet rooms, told between friends like a secret too beautiful to keep. A poet includes your words in a collection. A librarian gives a talk about your hidden writings. An old professor revisits you in his final class and calls you the most honest ruler we never knew. You appear on t-shirts, yes, but also in dreams, in lullabies, in tattoos traced by trembling hands. No monument remains unchanged. Even memory is subject to erosion. But some names are not held in stone or screens. They are held in the warmth between two people speaking by candlelight. You are not a chapter in history. You are a rhythm, a pause in conversation that says more than a sentence. A language professor in Lisbon opens her lecture with a quote attributed to you. I am not silence. I am the shape silence leaves behind. It was never written in your time, but it fits. You are Pharaoh, and now you are not studied. You are not displayed. You are simply repeated, softly, slowly, willingly, and maybe finally, truly. Time no longer touches you. You are not measured by clocks or dynasties. You are not weighed in textbooks or coins. You become something else. Every year, when the air shifts, when sand begins to swirl in the wind, even in cities where no desert exists, people remember you without knowing it. A teacher lights a candle and whispers a name she doesn't recall learning. A gardener touches dry soil and dreams of a crown made of reeds. A child draws a figure with arms wide and eyes closed. A poet feels the urge to pause mid-verse. A mechanic hears the echo of drums in the hiss of the radiator. You are Pharaoh, and now you are a season, a returning, a silence before a change, a weight in the air that says something is still here. Old songs hum without lyrics. Someone hums them in the shower. A vendor places amulets on a blanket, not knowing where the design came from. A woman rearranges furniture because something tells her the door should face east. A grandfather suddenly remembers a word he hasn't spoken in 50 years. It tastes like dust and honey. You are not summoned, you do not answer, but you pass through. Church bells ring slower. Markets grow quieter. Someone leaves water on a doorstep. A bird lands on a statue and stares longer than it should. The season is not marked on calendars, but it arrives all the same, everywhere. A city official pauses by a brick wall and feels the urge to trace a shape. A mother tells her daughter, "You remind me of something old." A violinist plays a melody no one has heard before, or so they think. You are not celebrated. You are not mourned. You are felt, like dusk before rain. like the breath someone holds before speaking a truth, like the shadow between dreams. A writer pens a story about a forgotten king with no name. The readers feel like they've heard it before, as children, perhaps, or in another life. A painter wakes from a dream of golden corridors and paints with colors no one can name. Temples fall, empires forget, but you remain in the tilt of the sun at a certain hour, in the hush that descends before thunder, in the first step taken onto warm stone. You are Pharaoh, and now you are not myth, not man, but moment. A brief returning each year that says, remember what was buried and what still breathes. In one house, a child builds a throne out of pillows. She sits in silence. She doesn't know your name, but she feels you watching and smiles. And then you go again until the next return. It begins again, as all cycles do, but this time not with discovery, with fire. A city ignites, not from war, but from neglect. The heat isn't sudden, it simmers for years. Infrastructure fails, rivers dry, promises decay. The sky thickens with ash, and then a spark. Systems collapse, power fails, screens flicker out, and in the dark, people search for something older than light. They dig, not archaeologists, people with bare hands. They don't know what they're looking for. They only know what's broken. And someone finds a shard of you, a piece of your mask, your eye still intact. They don't know what it is. They carry it in their pocket. They touch it before sleeping. And in dreams they see, not palaces, not pyramids, but your hands, steady, calloused, placing stone atop stone. Your voice, not commanding, but confessing, quiet, unfinished. More find you, more dream. The image of your face spreads, drawn in charcoal on broken walls, traced in condensation on cracked windows, sketched in dust. You are not reborn. You are reinterpreted. Soon, you are spoken again, but this time as a warning, not fearfully, not religiously, but with the reverence people offer to a ghost who has seen it all. Someone paints your face above the words, "He lived before we forgot." Another writes, "He spoke last and listened longest." You become a symbol of retreat, of renunciation, of wisdom through absence. Your story is told again, but this time backwards, not from throne to grave, but from silence to silence. You are no longer a lesson, you are a mirror. When leaders rise, they are compared to you, not for your rule, but for your retreat. People ask, what did he see that made him turn away from power? What did he know that made him choose silence? Teachers use your name as a pause, as a breath before asking the class, what comes after knowing everything? You are Pharaoh, and now you are a warning, not of doom, but of repetition. You are what happens when memory is ignored, when empires forget their weight, when kings believe they will not crumble. Your tomb becomes an allegory, your mask a question, your silence a sentence no one dares to finish. In a broken theater, a child performs your last day as a one-person play. No one watches. He performs anyway. He whispers your final line, I buried myself to remember. A refugee carries your face on cloth. A priest quotes your poetry in protest. A scientist names a virus after your dynasty, not in mockery, but in recognition. You are not myth. You are not man. You are what remains when all stories have burned. And still, you are not bitter. You are not vengeful. You are not loud. You are still. A child touches your image and says, I don't want to be king. I want to remember. And in that moment, the future pauses and listens. And maybe this time it will hear. It begins not with words, but with gesture. An elder touches the sand with both palms. A young girl ties a thread around her wrist and names it after a story she doesn't fully know. No scriptures, no monuments, only movement. You are Pharaoh, and now you are whispered to the sky, not in ritual, in rhythm, in repetition. Your name is spoken before sleep. It is murmured in kitchens, sung in stairwells, typed into dream journals. You become part of breath, part of muscle, part of the space between questions. A woman runs her fingers over a river rock and hums your name. She doesn't know why. She feels safer. A wanderer leaves your name scratched into a train seat. Someone else finds it and repeats it aloud. Nothing happens, but everything feels different. You are carried in tattoos, in lullabies, in chalk on sidewalks before it rains. You are taught sideways, not in schools, but in pauses, in how someone chooses to be silent instead of shouting, in how a sentence is left unfinished, like yours were, in the moment someone hesitates before hurting another and doesn't. You are Pharaoh, and now you are not echoed in stone, but in weather. The wind bends in places you once walked. Rain hits glass and sounds like syllables. Clouds move the way you used to gesture when deep in thought. A teacher pauses before speaking and changes the lesson. She cannot explain why. You are not worshipped. You are not feared. You are not explained. You are felt. In the decision to wait a moment longer. In the sigh before love is spoken. In the way strangers look at each other and decide not to fight. Children play a game with rules no one wrote. It ends with your name whispered into the air. They don't know what it means, but they bow anyway. A man walking alone stops and stares at the moon. He says, "I remember you," and does not know why. An astronomer finds a new comet and names it after you, unaware she has dreamed of your mask for weeks. A musician composes a piece titled "The King Who Chose Silence" and never performs it. He only listens. You are not a god. You are not a legend. You are a presence that turns hesitation into intention. People gather by firelight and speak of things they almost forgot. One of them draws your symbol in the dirt. No one questions it. In markets, people choose to share instead of hoard. In prisons, someone carves your face into the wall and it is left untouched. Your name becomes the pause before poetry, the breath held before forgiveness, the weight in the chest before telling the truth. You are Pharaoh, and now you are the whisper before thunder, the stillness before return, the shape language makes when it chooses not to become noise. And in the sky, the stars do not answer, but they seem to listen. And across the earth, so do we, not ended, so not erased, just quiet. The winds still speak, the stars still drift, the sun still rises over stone and sea. The earth turns without audience, time continues gently, and somewhere beneath it all, you, no longer in memory, no longer in symbol, simply still. There is no monument left to visit, no ritual left to perform, no name left to say aloud. But the world behaves differently because you were here. The silence you shaped continues, a space in the rhythm of things, a pause in the song of time, a breath the universe still holds. You are Pharaoh, and now you are quiet forever. Not as absence, but as atmosphere, the wait before dawn, the hush of snowfall, the warmth of stone that remembers sun. In your stillness, people learn to feel again, to pause, to wonder, to change their minds, to speak carefully. A stranger stops at a door and decides not to knock. A leader waits before declaring. A child hesitates before shouting, and instead whispers a name she doesn't know. You echo in hesitation, in gentleness, in restraint. Your life is no longer told. It is no longer understood. But your echo, it becomes the contour of all endings, the outline of reverence, the shape of choosing not to dominate. You are not forgotten. You are not found. You simply are without needing to be more. The sands shift, but do not bury. The sun sets, but does not burn. You are beneath it all, not beneath in position, beneath in foundation. What holds, what rests. You become the reason someone walks slower, the reason someone changes their mind, the reason someone forgives. You are the whisper before apology, the moment between loss and understanding, the silence no one rushes to fill. And so, the final silence settles. It does not fall like a curtain. It rises like mist. It hovers in the corners of libraries. It folds into the pause before sunrise. It drifts through ruins, not mourning, but remembering. And in this silence, you do not vanish. You remain. You wait. You listen. And thus you disappear, like all those who came before, not in defeat, not in pain, but in peace. And the world, unknowingly, becomes better for having known your silence.